Hey guys, Tbull here. Today we got to look at a new Tier 4 Russian battleship, Oktyabrskaya Revolutsiya. There's Keter on the screen, there's the build. Note the armor view here in a moment with the Octo. Like the Nikolai one, we got a green upper nose section, but smaller section than Nikolai the First. So that's the ship we're going to be primarily comparing this one to, since they're quite similar. Opening up here, we got some shots against broadside, close range, tier 3 and tier 4 cruisers, which are always fun to shoot at, but figured we'd throw these in here just to get the juices rolling, because we got a he gone right off the bat there. And we'll take another shot at a Furutaka here in a moment. But what is this thing? Now, the Peter, the Tech Tree tier 4 Russian battleship, you got 356 calibers on there. Nikolai I and the Octo, we got 305s, and we got 12 guns with the 305 compared to 8 on the Peter, the bigger calibers. So more effective against cruisers, not quite as effective against battleships in general, but pretty similar idea all the way around. And there's another he gone for you as we'll jump into this big race game here in a moment. But Nikolai, on paper, the stats that I've traditionally written down a little bit stronger. And by the way, if you're watching this in the future and you're wondering why I got some short fill games here, this is the first week of the carriers, so there's a lot of people playing tier 3 carriers, and that's kind of screwing up the matchmaking, just heads up. But getting back to comparing the ships, Nikolai, a little bit faster reload, about just shy of 2 seconds, 3 seconds faster on the turret traverse, not quite as much range, same damage stats, better maneuverability. We got 2 more knots and faster rudder shift, slightly tighter turn radius on the Octo. But the stats that I haven't written down traditionally, and I'm still trying to figure out how to analyze, AA stats. If you look at the Octo's AA, you got a robust armament shooting down planes left and right. If you look at the Nikolai I, you got like 3 guns, and I think one of them was a BB gun. So much better AA stats overall. Other than that, and the nose armor, a little bit smaller. Other than that, I think advantage goes to Nikolai the First out of the rest of the stats. Both of these ships are fun, though. And this is an early impressions video. If you're new to the channel, you can consider subscribing, by the way, to stay tuned for all the World of Warships. But usually with the new premiums, I play about 10 games or so, then give you a early look and my early impressions. So that's what we're dealing with here. Both of the, I like the Nikolai a lot, and I like this one. So far, so good. Key difference, though, on the Nikolai 1, the front 3 turrets all rotate through the front of the ship, and the back one goes through the back of the ship. Here we got turrets 1 and 3 rotate through the front, and turrets 2 through 4 rotate through the back. That means if we're pointing forwards at the target's advantage Nikolai, because you're going to have 3 guns that can stay on target much easier. They rotate through the front of the ship as opposed to going all the way around the back. That's if you're nose in. But if we're in situations where we're forced to play rearward towards the targets, then the Octo has the advantage, because you get that extra gun that's designed to face backwards primarily. So more balanced in terms of what you can do approach-wise with the Octo. But if we're going to be playing strictly nose in, then the Nikolai's guns are more advantageous in those situations. So there's trade-offs here and there. I've played the Nikolai far more than this ship, so I'm not prepared to say which one I like better. We're still waiting for carrier players to learn how to play carrier, and then we'll see how the AA is going forward. I haven't played the Nikolai since the carriers dropped either, but it's not looking really good on that ship. So overall, this is a line of ships, the Russian battleships in general, and these 2 premiums at tier 4, I think they're both quite solid, but this one, a lot of fun as well. So jumping into this big race game here, why this play is interesting to my mind is because the guy directly to the south of us, that battleship, he's the main threat to our team. Right now, Red is pushed forward aggressively to the north up the east, and if that battleship directly to the south of us can move into a position where he can start crossfiring us, then we can get wiped out very quickly. But if he takes too long, or he takes a poor route, which is actually what's going to end up happening here, then we're going to have time to finish off this eastern flank and then turn around and deal with that guy. So how you sail towards your targets matters in this game. And you always got to be thinking to yourself, is it worth going around this back side of this island like this guy's going to be doing over there? And then you gotta, it's a skill that, and it's something that the more experience you have, the better you'll be able to judge, I guess is my point. Obviously, these are new players, so I'm not criticizing them in particular, but it's very common to see players think, okay, I'm just going to go around this backside, not realizing that's a 2 or 3 minute commitment. All the while, this guy's not shooting at anyone, and that's given our team a numerical advantage because we're tied in ships. We're actually down a ship at the moment, but because their big battleship is blocked, he can't shoot anything. Effectively, we're still tied. And the pod's about to go down there, which is going to remove both of their destroyers. That's a huge advantage. So good job for these guys on this team to... He's not quite dead yet, but I think he's going to go down fairly soon. So that's a key takeaway from this position here. Note, we're basically fully broadside to the guy to the south. So if he does find a lane on us, he can wipe us out very quickly. Russian battleships, you don't want to get shot in the sides. Looking at the armor view, Citadel-wise here, it's not huge. I think it barely sticks over the water. So it's probably not the easiest Citadel known to man to hit. I haven't shot at the ship yet, but in general, flashing the sides in the Russian battleships, that's where you're going to get in trouble. So even though we don't look at this guy, I keep glancing over here to see what's going on, but I'm keeping an eye on that guy on the map, the ship that's now to the southwest of us, because if he does get access to our sides, we can get killed very quickly. But again, we've been keeping that big island in between us and him, allowing us to engage these guys over here first and foremost. Going to try and remove that emerald. That's a great ship to shoot at as well, but I think he's blocked behind here. And now we're spotted, so this guy can keep an eye on what's going on here. But look what he's trying to do. He's trying to push into the base, and he's going to be fighting those guys. But we're going to take a beeline here to the south. Now, this is a little bit risky, especially if he's a faster ship. But he could potentially keep sailing north and maybe even cut back over here to the east. And I might spend minutes chasing this guy around. So I really don't ever like to chase ships, especially when we're in slow battleships like this. But I'm figuring he's got forces, blue forces, close enough to the north of him where he's not going to keep going north full speed. So it's going to give us access. Keeping an eye on the map here, seeing what sort of angle he's got. And he's at about a 45-degree angle, which isn't perfect, but we will be able to damage him, assuming he doesn't turn further away from us. So we're getting around the island, ready to fire here. And we're going to aim up just at the top half of the ship there. That's to account for the 45 degrees worth of angling he's doing. And we got about a 5K there with a damaged turret. So not a horrible shot there. But now all we got to do is park here, and then we're just basically going to pin this guy back here because he wants to push to the east, to the northeast. He wants to keep pressuring these ships that he's fighting there. But if we stay here, the more he does that, the more access we're probably going to have to that broadside. So we're kind of cutting him off here. The cruiser to our east is killed. That emerald, he's not really... Well, he's dead now, but he's not able to contribute. Regardless, and then they do have the carrier that's kind of moving to the northeast of the map. So this Koenig here, by moving into this position, we got access to the side. We could do some nice juicy damage. And we prevent him from trying to make the play that he was trying to make, which was to push into the northeast, take those guys out, get on the base, pressure our team that way. So pretty decent play there. And again, that was just mainly keeping an eye on the map the whole time, utilizing the island to protect us when we needed it, and then going around the island to attack that guy when the time was right, when we whittled those guys down in the east. So again, not to harp on the individual player because low tier games, that's not what we're about at the low tiers. But in general, just kind of not keeping an eye on the flow of the game, recognizing that the main fight was in the northeast and then kind of taking the long way all the way around, unable to shoot. That just kind of allowed us to have a weighted advantage. And of course, with a short field game, like a 7-ship game here, having a numerical disadvantage by mispositioning is kind of amplified in effects. So easy, very common mistake to make. It's something even I do on occasion where you're not really paying attention to. You got to always be going where your targets, where your enemies are going to be in, several minutes when you're going to get there, not where they are now. Because if you go to where the ships are now, by the time you get there, it's going to be 3-4 minutes in the future, and they're going to be somewhere else. So you always got to be one step ahead. But yeah, getting back into whether or not I like the ship, I would say if you like the Russian battleships in general, you'd probably enjoy this one. I mean, there's not a lot to dislike about it. I think it's a fun ship to play. If you already got the Nikolai 1, do you need the October? Probably not. I mean, I haven't, like I said, I haven't taken the Nikolai out with the addition of the carriers in the game yet. So and it looks on paper like the AA is pretty much non-existent on that ship. So if word gets out around town and the carriers start to, to swarm that ship and cause a lot of problems for it, maybe that ship's value will go down and this ship's value will just go up. But other than that fact, and the slightly better nose armor, just due to the smaller size of the weak spot, I think pretty much all the other advantages go to the Nikolai 1. Now, Nikolai 1 is a great ship. You can make the case between that and the Cesare at this point in time, which is the better tier 4 ship. And now you can throw the October in the mix just because it's a very solid tier 4 battleship and it's got some competitive advantages that the other ships don't have. So that would be my advice here. I don't usually give buy or sell recommendations on premiums just because everyone's got a different financial situation and how much they're willing to spend on the game is wildly different from person to person. So I just present the information to you guys. But shots away here in the host show. We're trying to get rid of the carrier just because he's a carrier. And boom, there we go. So that's going to do it for that one, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy it. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. New to the channel, consider subscribing. We got plenty of World of Warships coming all the time for you. Questions, comments, leave below. Love to hear from you guys. And see y'all later. Peace.